down the field and then around again. Listen to the crowd up in the stand. Give a locomotive for a choo-chooing man. Hey, all the way, choo-choo, all the way.
Great day to be a Tar Heel. We're in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina at UNC. Hi, I'm James Bates, and that is Charlie Choo Choo Justice, one of the greats of Tar Heel football past.
Here come the Tar Heels. Touchdown, North Carolina. How about the Gatorade bath for Mack Brown? He's at the 15, touchdown. How much fun is this?
Touchdown, North Carolina. Incredible. Touchdown.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, there you are. I just got caught up in Kenan Stadium. Isn't this place great?
Listen to this crowd.
Today on Portraits, we're going to talk to the leader of Carolina football, Presley.
Gotta have a little credibility when they walk in. Why don't you show me how to do a TikTok? I wear Jordans every day.
That's right, we're painting the portrait of the winningest head coach in the history of Carolina football, Mack Brown. Let's go.
James Bates open, take 44.
Hey, I'm the one they call James Bates, but my real name is Bates. I was a co-captain and all-SEC linebacker on the Florida Gator National Championship football team.
Number 44, James Bates.
These days, I'm a family guy, a broadcaster,
With James Bates.
and an artist, you know, like portraits and stuff. Kind of like the title of this show, Portraits, where we feature some of the more colorful characters in all the world of sports. Enjoy. So you think you don't have enough hours in your day? Imagine being a head football coach. From recruiting to watching film to recruiting to meetings to recruiting to fundraising. And did I mention recruiting? Of course I did, because it's so important, right? Mack Brown knows that. What do you think he's up to right now? Let's go see. I'm kidding. He knows we're coming, of course. Plus, he's a TV pro, so he's going to be camera ready. This isn't just a head football coach's office. It's an office where you get your work done, but it's an art gallery. It's like a club. It's awesome. And you're awesome for having us here, but you're also all of the above as well. You've got to do a lot of juggling as the leader of a college football program now, don't you?
James, you really do. I've just had such a blessed life. Football has been just a powerful tool in my life to learn and grow and have fun and be in places I never dreamed a little country guy from Cookville, Tennessee could be. And when I got out for 5 years, I missed it.
We're going to enjoy this one tonight. We're going to enjoy every bit of it. We're going to look at it very closely tomorrow and see we can get so much better. Oh, my God. I hear you, Joe. You know what? We can get so much better. So much better.
I miss the relationships. I miss the kids. I miss the mentoring kids, because that's what I do.
Keep playing. Keep playing. Let the play die and go to the next. Do not look at the scoreboard. Doesn't matter, because we got to play 60 minutes.
Everybody says you left that TV gig for this, but it's been wonderful, and I'm at a great place in my life and much better now. I'm much more direct. I'm very honest in recruiting. I'm gonna tell them I don't think you should come, and here's why. Here's where I think you should be.
Carl Torbush recruited me, and I came here on an unofficial visit. So you didn't tell me not to come here, though, just for the record. You didn't tell me.
I'm better now than I was then. So.
Yeah, it might not. Well, then you didn't have a choice, like you
No.
said. And also then, you know, you didn't want to let your coaches down. I mean, I think to this day, I still fear letting my coaches down. I'm guessing you also feel like you wish more kids felt a little bit that way.
When they asked me to come back here, a lot of people said he's too old because he can't relate to kids. Kids haven't changed. Kids want to compete. They want to please their coach. They want to get a degree. They want to get to the NFL. That hasn't changed. That's you. That's me. It's all the same thing. But if you got energy, you got passion, you got experience, and you relate to kids, It's easy. That's my job. And if I can do that, then they're going to believe in me. They're going to communicate with me, they're going to trust me, they're going to respect me, and then they're going to get where we want to go. I've promised the administration, I promised these players, I promised the coaches I brought in here, I promised the fans of the state of North Carolina, we're going to get it fixed for you. We're going to get it back like we had it before. And that's my job, that's my purpose.
Who's the Mack? Is it that fool that want to pump you gas, give you a sad story, and you give him cash? That was an Ice Cube song about the time that Mack Brown was in Chapel Hill for the first time. But you know what, if you think about it, Coach Brown is really starting with a blank canvas again, but has already elevated that North Carolina football program. When I look at Coach Brown, a good-looking dude and a lot of hair, then and now. A big dome, a lot of brains in there. Very smart football coach, right? So that's where we'll kind of start. When you look at this piece, I think you got to think colors, and you got to start with really two of the most famous colors, love them or hate them, in college football. The burnt orange of Texas and Carolina blue. All right, here we go. And when we return on Portraits, we'll check out some family treasures of Mack Brown's and learn how growing up, his life was pretty much surrounded by sports. Well, what do you know? It's the famous old well. Hi everybody, welcome back to Portraits. I'm James Bates. This is the central part of UNC's campus. For Tar Heel students, this is home base. For Mack Brown, home base, Cookville, Tennessee, if you will. That's where he was born and raised. And central to his life growing up, football. As a youngster in Cookville, Tennessee, wanting to be a part of football, be a part of sports, at that point, was it even then that you saw your family that was in it, the relationships that they had, as opposed to just going and winning and being a good athlete? Was it even back then that you realized that part of it?
Yeah, James, my dad was a football coach and then became the principal and superintendent. My granddad was the winningest football coach in Middle Tennessee history. The stadium's named after him in Cookville now. And he became superintendent of schools. Mom and Dad owned the local sporting goods stores. I had three brothers, one older, one younger, and we were competing and fighting all the time. And the older one beat me up, I beat the young one up, and we just get back to what we were doing and competing all the time. And then we worked at our parents' sporting goods store in the afternoon, and that's just what we did. That's who we were. I was raised in a little fantasy world for a young guy. I wanted to be my granddad. I wanted to be the head high school football coach. I remember my grandmother was tough. She said, son, that there aren't many Mickey Mantles and Roger Marises, but there's a lot of doctors and lawyers. You need to be a doctor or a lawyer. My granddad came over and said, boy, you need to do what you want to do, and you need to be happy, because when you're happy, you don't work a day in your life. We were raised right, and as hard as my dad was on us back then, I really appreciate now. And there's a fine line there about he never said I love you and all those things till later. But Dad loved us very much, and I can understand now as a parent and a grandparent why he was so hard on us, because he wanted us to be successful.
And you all were successful. Watson right on to Vanderbilt, not too far from home, and then you started there as well before transferring to Florida State. But why football? Why did you decide on football between those three? Were you just best at football?
Growing up in our small Cookville Central High School, we had football, basketball, and baseball, and that's all we had. But we played all three, and you left one to go to the other, and I think that was just who we were at that time. You know, I wanted to go to Alabama with Coach Bryant because I loved him, but my parents did not want us playing against each other. They didn't want me hitting my brother. I thought I'd hit him my whole life, you know. What's this about? So I went to Vanderbilt, and it didn't work out for me, and I transferred to Florida State because of Steve Sloan, because I loved Coach Sloan, and still to this day I do. and I wanted to be like him. That's what got me into coaching and just continued to help me grow. But Watson played a little baseball at Vanderbilt, but I just stuck with football.
Coach Brown's guy, Steve Sloan, a Crimson Tide legend. He won 2 national titles at Alabama while sharing quarterback duties with another legend, Broadway Joe Namath. But still, the biggest influence for Mack Brown, that was a little bit closer to home. His old fishing buddy. Talk about legends, his grandpa, Eddie Jelly Watson.
I would work all of the Little League baseball and softball fields in the summer, and I would coach a Little League baseball team while I was playing in Babe Ruth. And then he and I would run to the lake and fish at the night. We'd spend the night, get up, fish the next morning, come back and repeat. Everything I learned and believed in came from my grandfather. I love my dad and I love my mom, but I was my granddad's favorite. And I mean, he was just my favorite.
I think the first time I realized that he might be a husband material, he was at my house and I was cooking dinner and he called his grandfather. He said, "You know, I really love you." And he hung up and I was like, oh, wow, you know, that's kind of neat that, you know, a guy could say that and feel that so strongly.
Every time I think about something, I see my granddad, and he had a smile on his face, and everybody adored him. When we buried him, the stories of his ex-players were just unbelievable, and he never told us any of them, because that wasn't who he was.
I only knew Jelly for 5 or 6 years, but I could tell it was the same kind of personality that Mack had. Everybody was attracted to him. Everybody wanted to please him, and I think that rubbed off on Mack.
The things that he gave people in their lives are who I want to be. And even with our 6 grandchildren, I want to be my granddad to our grandchildren. I want them to have a legacy of me when I'm gone and they're growing up to say, I remember Granddad saying this, and I remember Granddad doing this, and that's because of my granddad.
Yeah, looks pretty good, huh? This is some true vintage Carolina football gear right here. I picked this baby up about the same time Coach Mack Brown was running things his first time in Chapel Hill. Oh, now I'll never be a team model. And you know, during that first run, he leaned heavily on a storied Carolina hoops program. How about it here on Franklin Street? This place goes nuts after big wins, national championships especially. All kinds of good gear too. Come on, let's go check this place out. Yes, this place is awesome. Oh, and they got basketball jerseys. I knew they'd have basketball jerseys. You know, before Mack Brown got here in 1988, that's all you ever heard about was Tar Heel basketball. But all that was about to change, believe me.
It's been a tough year, really, for the Tar Heels. They won their season opener, and since that time, it's been 2 months waiting for another win.
What do you tell your players?
We've got to come out and make something happen. We've got to make a big play on offense, stay on the field offensively. We've got to play hard this second half.
Mack Brown, head coach of Carolina, still positive after a very frustrating season.
Your first trip here, you know, when people heard North Carolina, boy, they sure knew what sport they wanted to go see.
When we first got here, Carolina football was so bad and basketball was so good, we were a basketball school.
And Mack Brown will have to reload for next year, and he's got so many young players that you know that somewhere along the line, it's going to pay dividends.
I didn't like being called a basketball school because I wanted us to be a good school. And what we did is Coach Smith and Coach Williams and Coach Guthridge helped us get better. And then what we did is we embraced the basketball team and loved it, and all the kids in North Carolina wanted to come to the games. And they wanted to take it to the Duke game, and I could give them one. Coach Smith was at every game. Coach Williams has a box. He was at every game, and I watched Hubert Davis play, and here I am with the cycle continuing, and Hubert's got a box.
3rd and 16, Hamilton's got it thrown out. Dre Bly with the interception.
Intercepted Dre Bly. Picked off. Dre Bly.
Obviously, we're a basketball school. I mean, there's no ifs, and buts about that. We were never going to surpass that. But to at least scratch the surface or to come close to it, that's pretty daggone good, right? And that was the mindset that we had when we was in school. And I came into school the same year with Vince Carter, Antoine James, the exact same year. But you couldn't tell me after the first year that I had when I was in school that I wasn't as equal or as popular as those guys, right? That was the mindset. And Coach Brown, right? Like, you couldn't tell me that he wasn't on that same mountain or wasn't gonna get on that same mountain as a Dean Smith. If you're trying to be great and trying to do different things, you got to set the bar high, and that's what we did. And that's why we were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish when Coach was here the first time.
Did, say, Dean Smith, did you spend much time with him? Was he a big influence on your early coaching career?
Yeah, I was so blessed. Coach Smith was a trip. I mean, he's obviously one of the best to ever do it. And Coach Bill Guthridge was his top assistant. And every time I'd see Coach Guthridge, I'd say, I need a Bill Guthridge. And they'd teach me things, James, like I'd ask Coach Smith, why are you all so good? Just give me something to help me. And they'd say, playing time. We know exactly when that starter's a little tired and the backup can be better than the starter because he's tired and he's fresh, so we take him out for 2 minutes and then put him back in. And that made so much sense to me, and I'd never even thought about it. And that's one thing we've got to do more. We've got to play more people because it helps keep you healthy. It helps you keep energy and keep from being tired. And the transfer portal. People aren't going to leave if they're playing. If they're not playing anymore, they're out of here, man. I mean, at noon.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play today. Okay, where's that app? I'm gone, man.
Yeah, I've never been very good at spinning a ball, but a lot of people can't do that, spin while holding the ball, huh? It is true, it'd be tough for anybody not to be overshadowed by a legend like Dean Smith. And Mack Brown, well, he swallowed that stubborn pride and went right down there to figure out how to build a successful big-time program. More portraits with Mack Brown when we return. Yeah, time for a snack, and no place better to do it than under a 400-year-old tree. That's right, this is a tradition here at UNC to come and take a picture under the Davy Poplar. You know another tradition in North Carolina? Barbecue, sweet tea. Yes, sir. Look at that. Some of the best in the country. That is, of course, unless you ask somebody from the Lone Star State. There's a lot of good barbecue here in the Carolinas. They're also very proud of it back in Austin, Texas, all over the Lone Star State. How do you handle that when somebody comes up and says, Coach, you've kind of had the best of both worlds. Who has better barbecue? No one better to settle it.
You've got to be a politician as a head coach and not get into politics. So I say, where you from? He says, North Carolina. I said, I love North Carolina barbecue. It's the best ever. Where you from? I'm from Texas, man. That was the best. That barbecue in Texas was the best. So I do play both sides of the barbecue game, and it's tough, and they're really serious about it. Yeah. So,
well, okay, how about this then? If you had the ultimate barbecue dish, what would it consist of?
I would think Texas would be the really juicy brisket, because that stuff is really, really good. And in North Carolina, it's just chopped barbecue. I love it chopped with a few beans stuck on the side there that you can mix them with, and both are really good.
There's a man wide open, touchdown! One big play after another, inside the 5, touchdown!
You built it up here and went to a place that had a great foundation laid for you.
Let's play hard. They're going to play hard. The team that wins this game going to be the one that plays the hardest, the longest, and makes the fewest mistakes. Let's go have fun and win. Go!
Talk about leaving here and going to the University of Texas and being a Longhorn, if you would.
I like Texas. I liked Austin. I love the people. I love their passion for football. It's a really, really hard job because you've got so many players that want to come. And you can take 25. There were 375 Division I prospects signing every year at that time. A guy from Oklahoma State, a corner, intercepted a ball once right in front of me, pitched the ball at me and said, "You remember me, big boy?" I said, "Yeah, I should have taken you." The ones you get, you better be a great evaluator, and you better develop them better than anybody else, because you're going to play against that 350 that hates you because you didn't take them.
And be a well-oiled machine by the time Saturday night comes up. And that's what we got to do. Everybody needs to be ready to go.
Championships, I'll say 1, 2, 3, championship!
And hard work kind of got up there, started knocking on the door, and then boom, you kick it down with one of the greatest games in college football history.
He's going for the corner. He's got it. Texas has defeated Southern California to win the national championship of college football.
When he won that national championship at Texas, we felt like we won one as well. What he did here from 90 to 99 to 98, he did the exact same thing at Texas, just different uniform, but same upbringing, same teaching, the same mindset. We all have the same stories, so I felt a part of it.
On February 14th of that year, we were invited to the White House. You know, George W. Bush had been the governor of Texas, so we'd gotten to know them pretty well. And so I'm sitting in the audience with my daughter, Mack, and the president. Laura's up on the stage, and all the players walk out, and there's these 2 stairs that come down, and they're all in suits and ties, and they're walking down the stairs, and even now I'm gonna do this. But that's when it really hit me, like how proud I was, you know, what those guys had accomplished. I just cried like a baby.
I asked Coach Royal when we won the national championship, "What does it mean?" He said, "It means you've checked a box that very few get to check." He said, "Most don't get to play for it. Half of those that do lose it." But he said, "Now it's going to ruin your life because you're going to be chasing another one." And he said, "That's all you're going to want because that's your new standard." The Hall of Fame and the national championship win just give you credibility when you walk in the room in some areas, and people will listen to you now differently than they did before.
Everything I ask you to do, you've done, and that's all a coach wants. Thank God you're at the University of Texas. It's a wonderful place. Thank you. Love you guys.
Yeah, I think the recruits like the Argyle. I sure do. And you know they like the Carolina Blue. With Coach Mack Brown, not only do you have a guy that can bring in the nation's top talent, but he can develop them into some of the greatest players to ever play college football.
Picked off. Dre Bly. And it'll be a touchdown for North Carolina.
Natron Means. Oh, talk about thick.
Natron Means becomes a 1,000-yard rusher in Carolina.
Sam Howell.
Howell's going to look for the end zone. He's got a one-on-one, and he drops it in. Wow.
Yeah, I sure am going to miss Sam Howell slinging that football around in Kenan Stadium, that's for sure. Oh, there it is. Can't forget about the Longhorns, right? Ricky Williams, Colt McCoy, Vince Young, some of the Texas elite. But Texas and North Carolina, those aren't the only 2 schools where Mack Brown coached a superstar.
You also spent time in Norman, Oklahoma, long before you were there at the University of Texas. And I got to talk about number 44 because you coached when Brian Bosworth was on the other side of the ball, right?
Absolutely. Brian was a redshirt freshman. We're in the first scrimmage and you can't hit the quarterback. And Danny Bradley runs the option. He turns up and Brian Bosworth knocks him into the seats. So I go ballistic. And I get over and say, "Coach, he's going to hurt the quarterback." And Brian looks up at me and says, "This is football, Coach. If you don't want him hit, then don't put him in the game."
Why do I keep fantasizing about Brian Bosworth? But that's what you get for being a quarterback around here, right? I can't think of a better football player for an artist to animate than number 44, the Boz.
We're getting ready to play Texas, which is a huge game, and I think Texas was number 1 and we were number 2. And Brian says to USA Today, "I don't like the state of Texas. I don't like the University of Texas. I don't like Austin, Texas. And I don't like Fred Akers, the coach." So I go into Coach Switzer, our head coach. I said, Brian's just made the whole Texas team mad. He's made the whole state of Texas mad. I said, they're gonna kill him. Coach Switzer said, I'm gonna tell you right now, Brian Bosworth will make 17 tackles and he'll be the player of the game. And he says, after you do all that mouthing, when the ball's kicked off, all the mouthing dies, it doesn't matter. Best team's gonna win.
Number 44, Brian Bosworth, is the man sets him up defensively.
Brian Bosworth had 17 tackles and was the player of the game, and he tackled everybody on the Texas team.
Brian Bosworth bring him down.
And his personality was so different. He had a 3.5 in business school, but when that guy walked on the field, that personality changed. It became the Boz. He had the haircut, and he was big, and he would knock you out.
And Brian Bosworth made him pay for it.
He didn't care who you were, when it was. That's why he was such a great player.
Marketing himself and his team long before social media.
He would have had a lot of NIL deals. Let's just put it that way.
When it comes to name, image, and likeness, social media, this guy was the OG. Way back when, he was marketing himself. I was a follower as a junior high student, and come to think of it, I still am. Not just on social media, but in real life. That right there was a painting by me, for me, as a birthday present on my 44th birthday. The Boz, a true celebrity. And Mack Brown achieved celebrity status when he won a national championship with the Texas Longhorns. More of that when we come back on Portrait. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Actually, can we get the lights dim just a little bit? Perfect. Because sometimes those lights can burn a little too bright. Just ask Mack Brown, his wife Sally, and their family. After that national championship, things did get a little bit too big and too bright there in Austin.
We won a lot of games. We loved the players and touched a lot of hearts. We have dear friends there now. We still have a charity, and we have a son, a daughter-in-law, and 2 grandkids in Austin. Go back a lot. I learned so much, and I learned so much about handling media. I would say something here when I was younger and nobody'd ever even say anything about it. I say the slightest thing there and it's national media. And I learned I couldn't cut up. I'm a smart aleck, and especially with people I like. And I would say something I thought was cute. And I'd get home, Sally'd say, "Did you really say that?" I said, "I was cutting up." She said, "They missed that part."
Yeah.
But I learned so much more with ESPN and ABC for 5 years because I could get out of my little box and look back. And when you look back, you learn more than when you're in the circus.
And had you just kept on coaching, you never would have had that opportunity, and you never would have grown like you say you've done. That's fascinating.
I felt like coming back here, James, I was a much better coach than I had ever been because of all the experiences I'd had for 30 years as a head coach and then 5 years to look back. First, I loved TV. I loved the game. I loved watching it. So I'd do a game on Friday night. I'd get up at 4 in the morning. I'd fly to Bristol. I'd get there and start at noon, and I'd be finished at 10:30 at night watching 24 games. And Sally would say, "You do this for free." I loved it. I had a team again. I lost my team, I had a team.
Dukes move the ball, not scoring touchdowns because they've hurt themselves with penalties and turnovers.
You're back as the head coach when you're calling the game because you're thinking about what you would do here and what you do here.
You know what I'm going to ask you. What would you do?
I would go for the first down and get the game over. But it's easy, I'm up here.
Every coach should take a year off to work in the media if they could. Your job's to win and their job's to tell a story.
How's your TikTok game these days? Because I know it was that was the gossip last summer. People were talking about the TikTok a little bit.
I knew what it was, but I really didn't know what it was. We had a young freshman that was homesick, and he's really struggling, and he was our TikTok guy because I knew he was on TikTok all the time. And I sat next to him at the recruiting dinner, and my wife Sally was on his other side, and I said, "Hey, why don't you show me how to do a TikTok?" Sally says, "No, you need to stay away from that." I said, "Come to my office Monday morning. You're the producer. you design the TikTok, show me what you want to do. So he came in, he had a plan. He had the shoe drop where he changed the shoes every time I had to change shoes. It took all this time, and he had it, and we had a blast. And then we'll have to do another one. When you have a bad season, you don't need to be on TikTok. You have to slow it down a little bit. So I pulled back, got behind the curtains a little bit, but I'm looking forward to my next one.
Yeah, legendary Carmichael Arena. You kidding me? Unbelievable! How many greats have come through here?
Worthy will take it in.
You can actually smell the goats, can't you?
Michael Jordan.
The greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, right here. That's why I wore my Jordans today, out of respect. Even though the shade of blue is a little bit off, don't tell Mack Brown. Speaking of Mack Brown and Jordans, wait till you see this guy's Jordan collection. Come on, you're gonna like this. I've heard of drip, but this is extra drippy, what you've got right here. My goodness, Coach.
Well, first, I didn't know what drip meant, so I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because the guys kept saying, you got drip, and they go. So now, when they look at my shoes, I just say, I don't even have to say drip anymore. When you got Michael Jordan, who's your guy, who to us is the best to ever play, and what he's done with these shoes are incredible. I don't even have any shoes anymore. I wear Jordans every day.
Do you have a favorite?
I do, these. They're my first ones here. And they're different, so they've got the NC, and then you've got your number on the inside of the tongue.
Oh, wow.
So they're just so cool. And the difference in these and those ugly orange ones that you've got on are
Come on now.
the NC's on the tongue.
Okay.
The Jumpman is here, so these are on the market, these are not.
Gotcha. Look at these coaches. There's Barry Switzer and Bobby Bowden.
This was Coach Switzer, my first game at Carolina. This was he and one of the Selman brothers on the field in Kenan Stadium before the game. This was Dabo, our first year, where we lost by 1 point, 21-20. This was probably me asking Coach Bowden, how do you win so many games?
Yeah, that first time around, that wasn't quite fair. The upper hand that the Florida State Seminoles had on the league.
No. Coach Bowden in our first year came out here and I think we were 1-7. He said, you're doing this right, man. I got expectations too high. Let it grow slow. You're doing it perfect. Next year he came and we went down to Florida State and we're 1-7. He says, you might want to pick it up. So.
From great minds on the football field to great minds and great leaders of the United States of America. You've got President Clinton, President Obama, both Bushes.
So we win the national championship. President calls and wakes Sally up. I'm still awake. And she gets her cell phone and says, it's President Bush. How did he get my number? I said, sweetie, they got everybody's number, so don't worry about that. And then she said, well, he wants to talk to you. And I said, no, tell him I'm busy. I'm watching ESPN. She said, Mack Brown. So I said, no, let me talk to the president. So I get on with President Bush. And he said, we got to get you to the White House as soon as we can, because I've never been prouder than the University of Texas winning the national championship. And then I asked President Bush, I said, you go to bed early. It was a late game on the East Coast. You didn't see the game, did you, at the end? And he said, no, let me tell you the truth. You got down 12 points with 6:42 left in the game, and I went to bed.
Jarrett, touchdown.
I was mad like everybody else, and he said, but I couldn't sleep. I was rolling over and said, this team always comes back. This team always wins. So I got up, lit me a cigar, went to my TV room, and I watched the last 2 minutes and 50 seconds of the Texas Longhorns win the national championship.
4th and 5, the national championship on the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it.
this picture and this picture are at the White House. And that's what you want to do as a coach. You want your team to be able to walk down those steps at the White House and meet the president, because that means you're the best team in the country.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Coach. I went to the White House with my Florida Gator teammates after we won the national championship in 1996. President Bill Clinton, and I'm the one that looks like me. Who knows? Before too long, maybe Mack Brown will be back in the White House with those Tar Heels. Stay right there. Portrait's coming right back. Yeah, Franklin Street, the Hill faithful sure like to voice their support right here, especially after a big win. But you know who always has Mack Brown's back, win or lose? His wife, Sally.
She'd never seen a football game when we met. And first she said, I don't care about winning, losing. I just like the kids. And then she realized her husband and those kids aren't very happy if they lose. So now she fights those games, boy. She wants to win as bad as anybody. When you get inducted into the Hall of Fame, they say, take a year to tell everybody thank you before you get inducted. I thought that was really cool. So we'll party at Texas, party at App State, party at Tulane, and we came back here, and there were about 200 people up there, James, that played for us.
It was super fun just to see so many people, you know, different backgrounds, different schools, but somehow they were like all kind of paired up. I would look over there and I think, oh my gosh, you know, he's from that school and he's from that school, and they're talking to each other, and now they're friends, and you know, a lot of them then would play in the pros together. So there's just, that was a moment where you just really literally could look out and see, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people whose lives were changed.
And I walked out of there that night, and Sally said, you had more fun tonight than I've seen you have since you quit coaching. You need to coach. You love these kids and coaches. You mentor them, and that's your gift. So that's what you need to do. And then she was kind of a smart aleck. She said, so you said I could live anywhere I want to, so you can coach in Hawaii. You can coach in the Bahamas. I said, they don't even have football. She said, we'll start a team, the Bahama Iguanas.
Okay.
Or she said, you can coach here. And Bubba Cunningham, the athletics director from North Carolina, calls and says, will you be our coach? I said, hey, sweetie, you said Hawaii. You said the Bahamas. You said Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill just called and offered us the job. What do you think? And she said, let's do this.
Thank you, trustees, for trusting us and giving us this opportunity.
Just like Mack Brown, his wife Sally, well, she's learned to wear many hats as well.
This is all Sally's work here. She's designed this office, is that correct?
She designed this building.
We came back to Carolina, we walked into the building, and the building hadn't changed in 21 years. And it was a very beautiful building at the time. It just didn't scream, you know, this is a great, fun place to be. And so we wanted to just brighten it up and make it fun again, give it some spirit. And when you walk into this building, you know immediately that you're at the University of North Carolina. Well, you want the building to be fresh, but you also want to know that there's gravitas to the program, and that's why you bring the history back in. Really a program of great substance.
You will have everything Sally and I've got. You will have every ounce of our energy and who we are every minute of every day.
And Coach Brown has been one who, over his career, has always put players first, and we all know where that starts. You know, Miss Sally does a great job. It's just hard to put into words, you know, how much they've done for this program.
You let your hair out for me.
Of course, had to. But just grateful for it, man. It's gonna be times where these young high school kids come in, they're gonna need mom, they're gonna need somebody's shoulder to cry on. That's gonna be willing to listen, that's gonna be soft, and they'll listen to you, and they'll give you a hug and comfort you. That's who Miss Brown has been for Coach Brown and his football teams.
These kids are fortunate to have you, but they're also, it seems to me, very lucky to have Sally in their lives as well. How much has she meant to you along the way?
She is the First Lady. She's a great resource for me because she's so smart and so grounded. I'm emotional, she's not. So I'll come home mad at somebody and she'll say, oh, go up and watch TV, or you're being the head coach. Come on back in an hour when you settle down and we'll talk about it.
I think I'm a very calm, level person. I'm not prone to big emotions, and he is prone to big emotions. He's up and he's down, and I think that I level him out.
She won't talk to much media. She says there's one ham per family, and we've got one. So you go do that, let me stay behind the scenes. But she's just wonderful.
Oh, a little bit more shine.
I have a little credibility when they walk in.
Oh, what's going on, Coach? What are you doing?
So the prospect walks in. I used to have these in a box. And once again, Sally said, you should be proud of the number of years you've been doing this. So these are all bowl rings, national championship ring here. These two from Texas.
Wow.
These are the 3 bowl rings we've gotten since we've been here, and the guys actually design them, so it's fun. Now, Coach Switzer did say, make your bowl rings or your championship rings so big and so gaudy that when somebody walks in the room, they say, what is that? And you say, oh, I didn't think you'd notice.
I've never seen such a cool display, and how about this collection?
Well, people say, can you win here? And I say, we have.
Well, another thing that I think is really kind of funny with Mack Brown is his eyes are actually Carolina blue. He has really bright eyes. I think it would be cool to do the background as a really cool burnt orange, and then frame it out. Not just a Carolina blue frame, but with an Argyle frame. I think that would be, as the young folks say, sick AF. Can I say that? Can we beep out the AF? It's unfortunate that this isn't a bigger frame. Then I could incorporate some Jordans, because you know he's wearing Jordans somewhere down there. Maybe I'll get another canvas and just paint Jordans down at the bottom.
James, isn't this beautiful?
Way back when, in the early 90s, I was a Sevier County High School Smoky Bear from right over the mountain in Tennessee, and I came on an unofficial visit, and I don't know that either end was closed in. Was it back then?
No, we had bleachers in that end. We actually had the field house behind the bleachers.
How proud does this make you to stand here and to know that you've been here to help make this happen? It's just got to fill you with pride.
It does. Most people don't get to be a head coach at all. The ones that do usually make it 3 to 5 years. And here I am going on year 34. And I'm going to finish here. But every day that I walk into this stadium and my view is this, with all these beautiful seats, I just feel how fortunate I am.
How many more years will you continue to walk into this stadium as the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels?
I want to get it fixed. I want to get it back where we had it when we were 4th in the country and North Carolina football was a factor. And I'll never think about when I'm going to quit. So as long as I'm having fun, and that'll be as long as I'm productive, I'm going to keep coaching. I thought I wanted to be my granddad. I wanted to be the head high school football coach somewhere. So this kind of got off track and kept going and building. Then I'll never forget, before he died, he said, "You're going to be a Hall of Fame coach." I can just feel it. So when I went in the Hall of Fame, it was all about him. And I was so proud for him that I knew that in heaven he was looking down with a smile on his face.
Coach Mack Brown, a man with a true appreciation of family and his past, but also very forward-thinking, an eye on the future to see what he can achieve next. One thing that stands out to me, how personable he is.
I'm better now than I was then. So.
He sure can put a smile on your face, can he?
This place is awesome.
Oh, what a day we had on the picturesque campus of the University of North Carolina.
Michael Jordan.
From walking in the footsteps of legends to touring the house that Coach Mack Brown helped build.
Oh, what's going on?
Coach shared some great moments from his past.
I said, no, let me talk to the president.
And proved how he keeps adapting. We saw some great UNC landmarks.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I ate a little too much barbecue. So what?
As centered as the old well right here in the middle of campus, Carolina students can always count on the constant flow of its magical waters. The same could be said of their football coach, a man they can always count on to try and bring good fortune to all the Tar Heel faithful, Coach Mack Brown. For Portraits, I'm James Bates. Hope you enjoyed the show. We sure enjoyed bringing it to you. See you next time.